My name is Debra Pearlman, and I am going to be walking you through a system and a philosophy that was shared many years ago by a gentleman by the name of Ivan Misner. He's the creator and founder of BNI International, and this is no way a promotional or a sales process that I'm trying to get you guys to join or consider becoming a member of BNI. The reason that I chose his process, which is called VCP, and I'll go into what the acronym stands for in just a few minutes, is it is a very strong, well thought out process. It's a little bit deeper than just networking 101. And so for the purpose of the conversation today, I felt that this would be a really good, strong foundation, and also maybe a refresher for anyone who just wants to kind of remember what they're doing and maybe take a step back and say, maybe I could be doing something a little bit differently so that I can enjoy different results. So we have a chat box at the bottom on your screen to the right. I just want to kind of make sure that you're all aware of that. So if at any time you have a question, you want to share a comment, by all means, type something in there, and if it's okay with you, just so you know when you do that, everybody on this chat will actually be able to read it, and we can have a conversation on the side. If you have a question, I'll pay attention to that chat, and this way I'll make sure that I answer any questions as we go. If you have any input, feel free. Okay? So with that, we'll get started. So, definition of leverage. So some of you may have heard of J. Paul Getty. And his idea of leverage is a statement that he made several years ago, a long time ago. I'd rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 people than 100% of my own efforts. And so that's really the baseline for if you're truly going to work networking the way it's meant to be and truly get the revenue generating type of productivity and the return on your investment for the time and the effort that you're putting into doing networking, you understand that it's so much nicer and easier to use other people's efforts along with, not instead of, but along with your own. So I have a question for you. Are you networking to generate revenue? I mean, think about it for a second. Most people probably say yes, right? If your sole goal is to generate revenue, and that's really the purpose and your intention and your focus, then I would say to you that you are not doing yourself, your business, your reputation any justice. Networking to generate revenue means you're just working the room, and we all know what it feels like to be worked. Nobody likes it. There's no opportunity to build relationships. There's no rapport building. There's no opportunity to build credibility and reliability and professionalism if you're specifically working the room to network, specifically just to generate revenue. So if you're not working the room and you're not networking to generate revenue, then what is the purpose? And then how do you change what you're doing? Because there are habits and there might be imprints. Somebody might have told you once, well, it's really easy. You go to a networking event and you just talk to as many people as you can. That's really not the most effective way to utilize your time and your energy. So that's what today's conversation is going to really focus on. So think about this. Do you believe that if you suddenly just stopped attending networking events, that your revenue would stop as well? So I belong to a few different Chamber of Commerces. I belong to BNI. I belong to some women's professional networking groups. And I believe that if I stopped attending, if I had to leave town for a month or so and I had to come back, I do believe that based on the reputation and the relationships that I've developed over the years, I do believe that I could probably pick up the phone and call almost anyone in my network, my referral partners, and I'd be able to pick up work again, or I'd get a referral, or a testimonial, or I'd make a connection somehow. Can you say the same thing? And can your salespeople, if you have a team under you, can they say the same thing? If you believe that you or someone from your organization absolutely has to attend networking events, otherwise your revenue would stop, that's a signal that perhaps you can be doing something a little bit differently and enhance the activity and the time and the energy and the money that you're investing into your networking efforts. So another food for thought. So one of the biggest pieces of Ivan Meisner's process that resonated for me when I first began the networking, well, I guess the circuit is what some people call it, is the philosophy is to sell through your network, not to your network. And when I first saw this, I wasn't really sure what this was. I was kind of young. I was a rookie on my own, starting my own business. And I had been doing sales for many years. And then I thought about this, and I'm like, okay, so this is what leveraging is really all about, selling through, not to. So if I'm in a room with 100 people, the best thing that I can do then is to meet the people that either we have a compatible product or service, we have the same target audience, the market, the prospects, the clients. We can all serve the same group of customers, but we're not competing. So I'll give you, for instance, last week I was working with a client, and they are in, well, I'll just tell you, they're in the uniform business, right? They provide uniforms to restaurants and to mechanics and to different printing shops. So we were in a area where there was a lot of restaurants, and we were kind of just walking the streets and getting to know the neighborhood a little bit, and going in and just talking to some of the business owners. And in the street there was a truck driver, and the truck happened to be for a food service company. Now, the food service company, the driver, most of these guys, they are responsible to increase their own revenue while they're on their route. It's their responsibility to increase their route, increase the revenue, and they get a little bit of a commission while they're making their deliveries. So the sales rep that I was working with and the person I was training, I suggested to him that he go over and he introduce himself to the driver and let them exchange business cards and ask him if they can be referral partners, what territory he had, who his customers were, if he knew of any new businesses going in that were also restaurants, because that's a really good referral for my client. And it turned out that they exchanged business cards, they had a really nice long conversation, they shook hands, and they have the information now so that if my sales rep, the client that I was training, is in a situation where he's talking to one of his clients who's a restaurant owner, and they just get into a conversation, my sales rep, my client, can say, I have somebody who you might be interested in talking to. He delivers fresh produce. I know this is on his route. Would you be interested? And the driver of the truck can do the same. He can drop off, and if he sees that the restaurant owners that he's delivering to, their uniforms aren't in good shape, there's stains on the butcher coats, the mats on the floors aren't good, he can also go in and say, you know, I know somebody, I have a good relationship with a reputable company. Would you be interested in just taking the guy's name and number, and or I can have him contact you. So that's selling through your network, not to your network. My sales rep wasn't looking to sell this guy anything, the route driver. He was just looking to build that relationship and that rapport. That's what that sentence means. Okay? I'm just watching. I'm keeping an eye on the chat box, so please, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to share. So visibility. Oh, here's a good one. So it's interesting. I've gone to, over the years, I don't know, thousands of networking events, and inevitably, one person's experience of that event is different from at least 10 other people's experience. Some cases it's not a good fit. They're not at the right event. If you're going to sell to strictly women, you have a product or a service that's really geared for women, I would recommend, obviously, you go to women's networking events. Can you go to other events? Sure. Are you going to get as great a return for your energy and your time? Perhaps, perhaps not. But being visible and actually showing up is really important. So don't make an investment in, let's say, the chamber. Let's just take, for instance, this Chamber of Commerce, the Orange County Chamber of Commerce. So I sold some memberships for them, and I've been involved with the chamber for several years. And when I talk to somebody who's not a member or who is a previous member and is not looking to renew, what's really interesting is some of the responses when I ask, well, why? Oh, it wasn't a good fit, or the networking events were like okay, or I didn't really see or meet people that I knew I could sell to. It wasn't the right audience. I mean, there's a lot of different responses. But when I asked them how many events a month did they actually go to, well, I tried to make at least one every couple months. Well, if you're not showing up and people don't have the opportunity to get to know you, you're absolutely wasting your money. I'll tell you that now. And if you have a sales rep that doesn't know how to show up, that's another conversation that we'll talk about. So we have the networking wallflower. Okay, so you have somebody that goes to these networking events, whether it's you or someone you know, and they decide that they just want to go and scope out the room. And I've heard so many guys say this. I just went and I scoped out the room, and it's really not a good fit, or I didn't really see anybody that was a potential connection. So the next thing I say is, well, did you meet anybody that has the same target audience as you, the same group of prospects that you can cross-sell and refer to each other? Well, no, I didn't really go for that. I was really going because I wanted to see if there was anybody, I could get business from. All right. So they're the networking wallflower. They don't get involved. They don't build rapport. They don't have a conversation. They kind of walk around the outside of the room. They scope everything out. They are checking out whether it's going to be a good fit for them or not. And those are the guys that usually have 1 or 2 drinks, and then they leave. How was the networking event? Well, it was not really a good networking event. Well, the networking event might have been great. However, if you're not actively participating and having conversations, it's not going to work for you. So the networking wallflower is not what you want to be. Then you have another whole kind of attitude where someone walks into a room and they feel like, okay, there's 100 people, and you can see them rubbing their hands together, and they're almost like salivating with excitement. There's 100 people I could sell to, and they're got their business cards ready, and they are just out to have a conversation, and with as many people as possible. So here's a story. So I'm going to tell you a quick story because this is such an awesome example of somebody who has this attitude. I was at a networking event in New York City. It was for American Express small business. There was probably about 300 people that were in the room, and then they had some breakout sessions and then the keynote. So we were all together in one room, and then the keynote broke, and we were probably on about a 10 or 15-minute break. And we had an opportunity just to kind of network a little bit in the hallway before the breakout session. This gentleman, and I am not making this up, this is like, and I still to this day cannot believe that this person actually did this. There was a gentleman wearing a raincoat, carrying around a briefcase, and I'm telling you, the briefcase was filled with business cards. His goal, his primary sole goal, was to hand out as many business cards as he could. Now, I'm sure nobody on this call or that's listening to this right now is of that nature. So this is an extreme example. I watched this man just go up to people and hand them his business card with the saying that I do accounting, I do accounting, I do accounting, I do accounting. That's all he said. Here's my business card, I do accounting. Here's my business card, I do accounting. He gave out probably, I don't know, 50 or 60 cards, and then he got to me. And I took a deep breath because I felt bad for him too, because he was wasting his time, and you never know what's going on in someone else's life. So I wasn't judging. And I decided that I was going to just ask him a question, maybe slow him down a little bit. Maybe it would help him, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. And I looked at him. I looked at his card. I looked at his name. I don't remember what the name was. Maybe it was John. And I said, John, I said, you're an accountant. He goes, yeah. I said, well, my husband's an accountant. He goes, oh. I said, do you want the card back? Because otherwise it's a waste just handing it to me like that. I said, you might be better off just having a couple conversations, just a thought. Maybe you'll actually have people who, will take you seriously and hold on to your card. And he kind of looked at me and he walked away, and that's okay. It is what it is. I just saw him as somebody who, and again, I don't know what his personal story is, what his stuff is, but showing up at a networking event and looking at the number of people that are there with the intention of handing out your business card to as many as possible is really not the advice that I would give to anybody. I've had clients that I work with where I tell them, and I'm going to just say this to put this out on the record here, if your goal could be to not speak about you, yourself, your business, your services, or your product unless you are specifically asked, that would be a beautiful thing. Show up to the event and have the intention, very strongly have the intention of speaking to two people, asking them about their business, what's important to them, and then if they ask you about you or your business, at that point then you can talk about yourself. But don't spew, don't dump, don't talk about yourself. Let them talk first. Ask them questions. And what you want to do is you want to have the opportunity to ask them questions that are relevant to what you need to see. Sorry about that. We had a little glitch with the presentation, so we're back on track here. So what I mean by that is ask them qualifying questions. So you're at a networking event. You have a couple business cards in your hand. Your intention is to have conversations with people who you may or may not actually be able to sell to, but you really want to make connections, referral partners, strategic alliances. That's really the greatest goal that you can have when you walk into a networking event. And if you are actually able to make a sale from somebody that you actually meet at the event, then that's the bonus, right? That's the gravy. So if you go in with the intention of, okay, so how am I going to best qualify or disqualify somebody? Well, you need to ask questions. I call it a needs analysis. I have samples and I work with sales reps, both seasoned and rookie, or what we call newbie, and we go through the process of finding out what are the top 2 or 3 questions that you can ask that will really help you to drill down to whether this is a person who may be a potential customer direct, a potential referral partner, or just somebody that, it's nice to know. You never know who somebody has in their Rolodex, so being open to referral partners and not just going for the sale is really a good intention when you walk into a room. All right, so don't be in the race. Don't have that attitude. So then we have the hunter or a predator. Okay, so a hunter or a predator. So in sales, we know sometimes they're called hunters and farmers. Those are 2 different personalities and characteristics of salespeople. And when we think of a hunter, we think of somebody who is going to just go knocking on the doors and kill the dragon, bring it back to the cave, and let somebody else clean it, skin it, cut it up, and cook it. I just want to go out there and I just want to knock on the doors and bring in the deals. And that's all they're interested in. There's no opportunity for this type of person to develop relationships and really strong referral partners, because they're always in a rush to get to the next one, the next one, the next one. Now, hunters thrive on success. They thrive on the ability to close a deal. It's the satisfaction. They want that instant gratification. And if it's not instant gratification, sometimes hunters have a really hard time with that. They love recognition. They love having an expense account. If you truly just want somebody to go out there and knock on doors and bring in the deals, and you're willing to let the hunter just keep hunting, and there's backup and there's support and there's someone else to do admin, because I will tell you the best hunters in the world are the worst at admin. Don't ask a hunter to do any type of really detail-oriented, specific paperwork, or you're not going to be happy with the results. And I have found in my over 30 years of doing sales training, management, and regional management, there is not one hunter that I have met who hasn't had to learn the skill to get ahead. If you want just somebody to go out there, knock on doors, give him the support he needs, have somebody back him up, give him some type of administrative assistant that he can dump the paperwork on, and the receipts, because he will not do his expense accounts either. Don't ask him to reconcile anything. Ain't going to happen. Hunters don't do that. All right, so that's your hunter. Then we have the other extreme. We have the farmers, or they can also be seen as partners to some extent. So the farmer, you don't want somebody that's just a farmer either, right? The farmer is the complete opposite of the hunter. He'll go out and he'll be best friends with everybody. He can talk, he can schmooze, he'll go out on the golf course, he'll play golf, he'll go out to dinner, he'll really schmooze it up. He's your best friend. He can tell you what clients have, how many kids, where they're going to school, how old they are, whose birthday it was. He can tell you all about their business. Farmers do not ask for the deal. They don't know how to close a sale. They don't ask for the business. They don't want to make waves. They want to stay in a safe, comfortable relationship. And if they ask for the business, it might make the customer feel uncomfortable. I can't ask for the business. Complete opposite of the hunter. That's a farmer. Now, there are benefits to farmers. So if you want somebody to be out there just, promoting the relationship, promoting your business or your organization, having somebody out there to do this, customer relations, you want a farmer. If a customer or a client or a prospect is unhappy or unsatisfied, or there was a glitch in shipping, or the product didn't go out the way it should have, or inventory was low, or the machines were down, or whatever your industry issues or challenges are at times, if you have a farmer, the farmers can usually talk the client down off the tree branch, bring them back to land, and turn the conversation into how it actually can benefit the client. That's what farmers do. They're really good with the relationship. If you're looking for somebody to be collaborative, farmers are pretty good at that. They don't have very strong egos. Hunters are typically not collaborators. Farmers are team players. Hunters are, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I don't need anybody. I don't need nothing. Just give me a support person to dump stuff on and let me go. Those are the two. Now, consider this. You have an organization and you have a business and you have networking opportunities. You can't do it all by yourself. You're the business owner. You're the what's that saying? The cook, the chef, and the bottle washer, right? You can't do it all. You have to start hiring salespeople. And these salespeople are going to represent your company. They're going to be the face that customers know when they're not going to know you all the time. So when a customer thinks about your organization, they're only going to know the experience that they've had with somebody, anybody, any face that says that they're a representative of your company or business. So think about who you're sending to these networking events. Are you going to send a hunter? Are you going to send a farmer? Right? So just consider all of these things. Credibility, huge for networking. So you can go to a whole bunch of networking events. You can do your thing, do your needs analysis. You can have good rapport. You can understand another person's business before you speak about and dump all over them about yours, right? At the end of the day, how's your credibility? Your honesty, your ethics, your morals. Eventually, that all comes out in the wash, and your reputation will be perceived by what you say, what you do, and how you do it, and what you don't do and what you don't say. So let's talk about this. So for credibility, you need to know your audience. So there's another really awesome benefit that comes from asking questions before you start telling anybody about you, your product, your service, anything about your business. Ask questions first. Decide in your head very quickly if this is someone who can either benefit you, have a referral partnership with, a strategic alliance with, or if you can sell to them. Find out what their needs are. Ask 2 or 3 questions very specifically that will give you that answer so that when you do speak, you know what words to use. You know what will resonate with them. So not only are you going to get to know your audience, when you're at a networking event, and it doesn't take very long, it takes a couple minutes, you also need to know to speak their language. You have to understand their industry or their profession and their challenges, what their needs are, what they're looking for, what their objectives and goals are in just a few minutes of time. You can do this at a networking event if you ask the right qualifying or disqualifying questions. Do the needs analysis. Spend some time and create a little cheat sheet until you know these questions by heart. Understand what it's going to take for you to get the answer you need so that you can change the wording, ask the right questions, and then provide an idea, a suggestion, a recommendation. And if you have a solution right then and there, don't spew it and do not start selling it. Say to them, you know, I understand the challenge. Repeat it back to them at the networking event. Repeat it back to them. And then say, you know what, I am fairly confident that I actually have a solution that might fit your needs. When is a good time for us to get together? Tuesday or Thursday? What works better for you, morning or afternoon? You schedule an appointment for follow-up. That's what networking events are really good for. Get to meet people, build a rapport, ask questions, do a needs analysis, ask the right questions, provide a solution if possible, get an appointment. Get an appointment. Once you leave that networking event, if you haven't asked for an appointment, you're making your job so much more difficult because then you have to start playing telephone tag. Well, okay, I'll call you in 2 days and let's set something up. Oh, I hate when people say that. I'll set something up with you. No, let's do it now. We're here. Where's your phone? Let's take it out. Let's get the calendar. Everybody has those smartphones now, and if they don't, you put it in your calendar and you send them an invite. You can send them an electronic invite. Once you put it in your calendar, just get their email address right there. Ask them for their card. Say, okay, I just sent you an email invite. You just hit accept, and it automatically puts it in the calendar for you. This way it's confirmed there. You leave with 2, 3 appointments. Beautiful. So worth your time, energy, and effort and money that you've invested to attend that networking event. So know your audience by asking the right questions. Do a needs analysis and offer a solution, a suggestion, or a recommendation in their language that they will understand, that will resonate with them, so that they want to have an appointment with you. Schedule the appointment. The best way to work a networking event is to be both. You need to be the hunter and you need to be a farmer. That's how you get the most return on the investment for your time, your energy, and the money that you've put in. Okay? Their perception of you is their reality of you, your business. If you're sending a salesperson, perception that they have of that salesperson, how they're dressed, how they speak, their body language. Are they speaking too fast? Are they speaking too slow? Are they asking the right questions? Are they intelligent? Are they just repeating something? How educated are your salespeople on your products and services? Very important. The customers or your potential referral partner, their perception is really key if you want them to be strong referral partners. They need to know, they need to feel that if they do end up working with you and recommending you and referring you, that with their reputation on the line, they're confident that you will not only go above and beyond, but you will ensure that you do a job even better because it was a referral from them. Key. Just as if you would want someone to do for you. If you give a referral to somebody else, it's really important that you know that it's your image. It's the perception of the customer will come back to you if they have a bad experience. So you want to make sure that the people that you choose to make referrals to, because you want your customers to see you as a value-added partner, the referrals that you give, you want to make sure that you're giving those referrals to people that you know will come through, that are professional, that are consistent, that have confidence, that are reliable, that will deliver, so that the customer calls you back and says, hey, that was a great referral, thanks. And they appreciate it, and they remember it. And they'll come back to you again. What ends up happening is you become a value-add partner, referral partner, strategic alliance. You become a different type of relationship with your customers by building your network with other individuals who are as professional as you, who deliver like you do, who provide services on a consistent professional basis, so that when each of you make referrals to each other, you know you've got each other's back, and that the customers at the end of the day will be very well served. It's a win-win-win all around. Make sure the perception is a good one. So just to kind of go over what we talked about, identify new prospects, get out and meet new prospects, build trust, credibility, and rapport. Conduct a needs analysis. Now, if you're going to have a meeting and you need questions, bring a piece of paper and a pen, have them written out, answer the questions so you don't forget to ask any. And if you have a salesperson that's working with you, provide them the tools that they need so that they have the needs analysis. So when they come back to you and they say, okay, so this is what the conversation was, these are the answers, that salesperson can get back to the customer, the prospect, the client, with information quickly. Don't let it linger. And that goes to the next one. Respond quickly to requests for pricing and proposals. So you have a meeting. You're at a networking event. You scheduled the meeting for Thursday afternoon. You do the needs analysis. And then what? Do you have a system in place to follow up? Who's going to put together that pricing or proposal? Someone needs to take that responsibility. And if you have a salesperson who's a hunter, the hunter is not going to put that together. The hunter will give it to someone else to put it together. You give it back to the hunter, and then he'll present it. A farmer will probably put it together if he's detail-oriented, and it will at least pay attention to, crossing the T's and dotting the I's a little bit better than a hunter. But you don't want to give it to a farmer either unless you know that this farmer has some closing skills and knows how to ask for the sale with self-confidence. Very important. Reply to prospect emails. When you get an email, a phone call, a voicemail, a text, whatever, carrier pigeon message, it's really important to reply. Even if you're busy, it's important to reply. Received your email, received your voicemail, we'll be back to you within 24, 48 hours, whatever your standard is going to be. And of course, get the sale. So I'm going to tell you another quick story. So I had a client who's a manufacturer up in Highland, New York, and they were having some issues with their customer satisfaction levels. They weren't quite where they wanted them to be. And they couldn't figure out what the problem was, so they thought, well, it must be customer service. They have an inside customer service sales team, so these guys must not be doing their job to the best of their ability, and they're letting something fall through the cracks. So I came in as a third party, and I did an anonymous market research. I asked really pretty specific questions. What exactly is it that you're having challenges with? Is it the voice of the person? Is it the response time? What is it? Is it the quality of the product? Is it the pricing? What is the actual issue that's causing you to not be satisfied at a higher level? And I asked this probably of about the top, I would say 13%, and I also asked it of their lowest 10%. So that, we had a mix of some, customers who were good payers, big accounts, and we had some of the smaller ones as well. Because it's good to do a well-rounded and very focused market research study. And it was really interesting because, so you would think, okay, so it's manufacturing, so probably quality control was an issue, pricing might have been the issue, maybe, communication, maybe. The number one issue, the biggest challenge that their customers, and this is a worldwide organization, global international company, doing very well in spite of the low satisfaction rates from their customers who are distributors and distributor rep organizations. Communication, lack of communication on a timely basis was the number one challenge that they had with their inside sales and customer service teams. So when I brought that to the attention of the manager and upper management, they tasked me with correcting what needed to be corrected to get the levels where they needed it to be. Okay, great. So we looked at what are some of the challenges, really specifically. Well, how long is it taking you to get an email to somebody to respond? Because most of their transactions, their communications were done via email, especially as an international organization. They would come in at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and because of time zone differences all across the world, they'd have emails coming to them at 2 in the morning, 11 at night, and obviously they're not in the office, so they really need to get back to those customers. So what was happening is they were actually working on all of the requests. They would go through every single one of them, would go through, they would sit down, go through every single email, and they would flag it different colors depending on priority. Okay, so great. So they're going to work on the biggest priorities, the ones with the most urgency first. And this all comes back to how you network and your reputation. It all ties in. The fact that when they were working with their customers and on their requests, they never sent back a response working on it. The customers thought their emails, their voicemails were getting just, I don't know, dropped into some black hole somewhere. They never heard from the customer service person, and sometimes it could take 2-3 days to get an answer. So the customers thought that they were just hanging. They were like, okay, well, it's been 2-3 days. I haven't heard anything, so maybe they didn't get my email. And they'd email again, and they'd call again. And technically, they really shouldn't have to do that. There should be some kind of autoresponder that can be set up. So if somebody sends an email request to you, if somebody leaves a voicemail for you, have the courtesy to respond. Even if you don't have time, send a text. Really can't talk in a meeting. We'll get back to you within 48 hours. Whatever it is. Working on your request, we'll get back to you within 48 hours. Just let them know that they were heard. That is another way of creating your reputation so that when you go to networking events, you don't have the reputation of, he never gets back. I can't work with that guy. You know, I've sent him some emails. He doesn't return my emails. He doesn't return my phone calls. You're not going to have a good networking experience, and neither will your salespeople. And then, of course, get the sale. Get the sale, right, when you're at the appointment, if you have the right solution to solve their challenges. Develop your reputation, right? The way you speak, how you dress, what you say, the words you use, it all counts. It all goes a really long way in the reputation. The way that you leave the room is the image that they will remember. So at a networking event, take the time to smile, take a deep breath if you're under a lot of stress, if you're trying to get out the door, whatever it is. And even as subtle a thing as when you're talking to somebody and you're doing an eye-to-eye contact and you notice out of the corner of one of your eyes that, oh, there's somebody over there I want to talk to. The fact that the person is speaking to you and your eyes are not on them and they're walking or following across the room and you're thinking, oh, I want to go talk to that person. The person who is speaking to you, they see it and they feel it. They pick up on the body language and they know that you're not listening. And when you don't listen, that's part of the reputation, part of the image that you are leaving at that networking event. The most important person that you're talking to is the person who's in front of you or the person who's on the phone. So what I'm going to tell you is if you're on the phone and you've got a million things on your desk and you want to not be distracted, close your eyes. Close your eyes and just be on the phone, be present, be aware, and be on the phone call with that person. If you have to take notes, great. Take notes. That'll keep you listening and keep you focused on the conversation. If there are things that you need to ask at a networking event and there's things that you specifically want to remember, say to the person, you know what, would you mind if I just put a note to myself on the back of your business card, or I have my phone with me. I'm not being rude. I just want to remember what you just told me. And take out your phone and then write yourself a note, send yourself a text. If you become known as a listener, a solution provider, a valuated partner, somebody who consistently shows up as honest, ethical, moral, speaks to the person with sincerity, understanding, asking the questions that will specifically allow you to qualify or disqualify the person, do the needs analysis so you can provide the solutions to the best of your ability, or say, That is not something that I can help you with, but I think I know someone who could really solve that challenge for you. Would you be interested in that connection? Oh, awesome. Now you can make a referral. And believe me, when you make a referral to somebody that turns out to be good, that person wants to return the favor. You can develop your reputation that way. Those are all good things to keep in mind. And if you have a sales team, again, teach your salespeople to do this. Really important, really important. Okay, referral sources and referral partners. So I've given you a couple examples. Just remember, they spread your message within their network. They talk about you based on the perception that they have, based on the image that you left them, based on your sincerity, your honesty, your professionalism, and based on the experience that they've had with you if they've worked with you. So make sure that whenever you're at a networking event, you're not just putting people off. Your eyes are on them, you're not distracted, and you know what? If you get a phone call and you do have to take it for some reason, have the courtesy to say to the person, you know what, I wouldn't normally take this, whatever. It's a family emergency. I really, I don't mean to be rude. Please forgive me. I'll come back. And then make sure you get back to that person. Right? Stuff happens. Life happens, right? Everything you do, everything you say is all a reflection on you, your business. Now, you can have a sales rep who has no idea what he's doing. He's stumbling through the conversation. He does not know how to do a needs analysis. He's not asking the right questions. And basically, he's leaving a pretty bad impression, right? Now, you know that your organization, your product, your service will absolutely 100% assist this person and provide value to this person's business, help them to, whatever the word is, increase their revenue, to alleviate challenges, to reduce waste, whatever it is that your product or service does. That potential client will never get to know you or your business if your salespeople don't know how to accurately present themselves. The image that they give is the image that your potential customers have. Be sure you hire the right people, make sure they're trained, ensure that they know how to do a networking event. And I mean how to do a networking event. How to go in with the confidence and the self-esteem and bring together to the table to every networking event, whether it's one-on-one, face-to-face, on the phone, wherever they are. Every image that they leave is an image of an imprint that they're leaving about your business and your company. You want to make sure that they're representing you the way that you want to be represented. Okay? Profitability. That's what we're all in business for, right? We need to generate revenue, pay our bills, maybe have a little bit extra for some theater, going out to dinner, vacation. We want to be profitable. We want to have the right pricing structure. And that's another part of the networking and the reputation that you build for yourself. Are your prices in line with your competition? And if they are high, well, that's okay. If you're providing the value and the service and the revenue that's generated is based on what you deliver, are your deliverables worth your profit margin? Now, some businesses use a standard 30 to 35%. I know in one marketing firm that I had as a client, their standard was a 35% markup. Nothing went below 35%, and that's with paying the salespeople commission. That was your profitability mark. So what's yours? How well do you know your competition? All right? So when you go to a networking event, if you are consistently delivering what you say you're going to deliver, if your solutions that you're providing truly do alleviate the challenges that your prospects and customers are having, then fine, raise your prices a little bit. People will pay for good quality, right? And if they don't, they might not be the customers you want, but that's all part of the networking. You have to learn who your best target clients are. And there's a whole process that goes behind that. What networking events are best, which I don't have time to get into today, how to decide where to spend your time and your money and your energy when it comes to networking. But for now, let's suffice it to say that you want to go to networking events that are going to give you the greatest opportunity to meet the most people that will provide you a wide net of referral partners. That's what you want. And the profitability will come, right? Visibility plus credibility, that's what equals profitability. So, increase your revenue. Go to more networking events? Maybe. Increase the quality of the networking events that you're currently going to? I would say that would probably be the great first step. So your results that you get from your networking are a direct reflection of what you put out there. So if you're not happy with the results that you're achieving, you need to take a step back and say, okay, well, am I showing up? Am I doing a needs analysis? Am I dumping on people about how great my product and service is before I even ask them about theirs? Do I truly understand what the needs are of somebody at a networking event? Am I asking 2 or 3 really good qualifying or disqualifying questions? Am I setting myself up as a really strong referral partner when I'm not selling to the person? Am I leaving the person feeling with confidence that I absolutely, on a consistent basis, will provide the product, the service, the value that I'm telling them that I will? And does my solution truly meet their needs? And if not, do I have a vast number of value-added partners and referral partners and strategic alliances that I may or may not be able to recommend to them, that I can rely on? Now, I will tell you this. So let's say business is great. You don't really need to increase your sales. You don't need to increase your market share. You're kind of happy with what you're doing because you don't really want to work any harder. And believe me, I've met business owners who are really content and they don't necessarily want to increase their market share. They're busy enough as it is, and they don't want their business to grow because then their profitability margins will go down. Okay, beautiful. That's a great problem to have. So you want to just add a couple new customers a year because there's always attrition. People are always going to drop off. So you always want to add a little bit. Do you have the referral partners and the referrals alliances that you need to maintain a strong reputation so that if things do change, if the market does fluctuate, if your industry, for some reason or other, something happens, and let's say you're in manufacturing and something happens and you can't, your whole industry changes. The garment industry went through that several years ago. Do you have enough on your plate, in your net, in your networking net, to reach out? Pick up the phone and say, you know what, business is slow. Do you have any, couple of referrals you can toss me that I can forward along to my salespeople, let them start making some appointments? That's a really great networking opportunity for you. Don't go for yourself. Don't go for your business. Go for your salespeople. Keep your network going, no matter how good or how bad, because the market does fluctuate. And there are going to be times when you're going to have to reach out to people. And at least you'll have a strong network that you can reach out to. Change the approach if you're not getting desired results. Jack Canfield, the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, actually has a really good business book. It's called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. It's a really big, thick book, really thick. Chapters are about 5 to 6 pages each. Again, the name of the book is called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. One of the things he talks about in his book is a philosophy that he uses. It's called ERO, equals event, which is the E, R is the response, O is the outcome. E is the event. You can't control events. You can't control what happens in the marketplace. You can't control what happens at a networking event. You can't control we can't control the whole illusion of control. I think it's an illusion. However, what we can control is our response. So if you're currently having events happening and you're responding in a very specific way within your business, outside of your business, in your home, wherever, personal, professional life, all the same. If the response is the same, your outcome is going to be the same. If you're not happy with the outcome, what do you have to do? Change your response. Change the way you do things. Shift. Okay, this isn't working. What can we try next? Shift, shift, shift. Don't get stuck doing the same old thing, the same old way, expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. Change your approach, achieve different results. Just try something different. Go to a networking event and just act a little bit differently. Change your approach a little bit. Don't speak about yourself, your business, your product, or your service. Let someone come to you and you ask questions. You be involved. You'll inspire them to want to ask questions if you are truly being sincere and if you're actively listening, because there's a difference between active listening and passive listening, which is also another whole lesson for networking that we don't really have time for today. So again, it's almost the witching hour. I'm leaving a few minutes for any questions or any comments in the chat box. My name is Debra Pearlman. I'm the CEO of Hudson Valley Sales Training, LLC, and DP Sales Pro. My website is here. My contact information is here. 845-649-2727 is my direct cell number. Please call me if you have any questions, if you have any training needs, if you have somebody on your team that you'd like to have private coaching for. I do that as well. I do shadowing and consulting, and I am more than happy to come in and do a training on site or off site. I'm always available. This is the best way to get in touch with me. So are there any questions? I can even open up the mic. I think I have everybody muted. Let's see if I can unmute everybody. I think we're good. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I guess we're ending a few minutes early. So there's 7 attendees here, and I appreciate your, oh, I think I see a question. Somebody raised their hand. Oh, Rachel, thank you. I appreciate the feedback. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Please reach out, text, email, whatever's good for you. It's been a pleasure. Have a beautiful summer.